Greetings, my friends. This is Carrie Konyha welcoming you to the last quarter moon episode of Collective Awakening Weekly. This is a weekly energy update and activation to support our collective journeys in spiritual awakening, healing, and empowerment. So here we are in the midst of the eclipse season. We had a lunar eclipse last week, and we have a solar eclipse coming up on the new moon next week. The energies that are shaping up this week are continuing to support us in the process of releasing whatever needs to be released that's not aligned and empowering our highest soul purpose, our highest soul calling. If you take a moment to tune in, you'll recognize that there has been a distinct shift of energies over the past few days in contrast to what the energies had been leading up to the lunar eclipse. Not only has the Sun and Mercury moved into Sagittarius, but they're aligned with each other this week. They're conjuncting each other this week, which gives us like a blended energy of thoughts and communication connected to our personal sense of identity. It's empowering our personal sense of identity, empowering us to be aware of thoughts, ideas, inspirations that are connected to our sense of soul purpose, and to in some way, shape, or form express those things, even if it's expressing it to ourselves or having that clarity of communication with ourselves. Both the Sun and Mercury are opposing the North Node. In astrology, the North Node represents the sense of meaning and purpose that we were born into the world with and that we carry with us throughout our entire earthly journey. It's like our metaphoric North Star. It's what compels us to want to become the best versions of our soul nature that we can. So the astrology right now is inspiring all of us to step into that full commitment around our highest calling once and for all. We also have the Sun and Mercury trining Chiron. So a trine is a positive astrological aspect, and this trine between Chiron, the Sun, and Mercury, all in fire signs, is the Sun and Mercury in Sagittarius and Chiron in Aries, is giving us even more of an ambition and a passion and a drive to clear away, let go, release, heal, integrate any old emotional woundedness that has been subconsciously sabotaging us. And I guarantee if you're honest with yourself, you'll notice that over the past few days, you've been having a little bit of a light and dark thing going on where your mind is sort of thinking about all of the shadowy stuff, all of the old things that are still maybe not completely healed and integrated, that are negatively impacting your emotional well-being and your overall vibrational frequency. Those are the things to pay attention to. And this is a time to really face those things and ask yourself, is what I'm thinking true? Are my thought processes that are going on, is it based on factual truth in the here and now, or is it a replay of past experiences that I'm keeping myself stuck in the loop of? We all have the opportunity now with this lunar eclipse that we just had, and then we have this little buffer week leading up to the solar eclipse. This is the week to do those last pieces of healing and clearing and integrating long-standing old emotional wounds and traumas so that we can feel completely free from those things and empowered in moving forward into that expanded sense of higher timeline, higher sense of soul path. This is the week for that right now. Astrologically speaking, there's been a lot of challenging aspects happening over the past 1.5 to 2 years. In fact, the one thing that I want to mention about this upcoming solar eclipse in Sagittarius on December 4th is that this upcoming eclipse is actually marking the end of an eclipse cycle that started back in May, June of 2020. So this week, take some time to become aware of how you were feeling, what you were experiencing in May, June of 2020, and be aware of what your journey through those things have been for the past year and a half, and know that this solar eclipse coming up next week is marking the end of that cycle and bringing us into a space of sort of rebirth and renewal. We're coming into a whole new cycle of experience. And this whole new cycle of experience that we're shifting into is all about us reclaiming, revitalizing, and rededicating ourselves to what we see as being our path of highest soul fulfillment, reclaiming that once and for all. Being that this week we are in the last quarter moon phase, which is the best time each month to do clearing and releasing work, this week, sort of broaden your perspective and go way back to spring of 2020 and ask yourself, what's still lingering in my life now that I was not fulfilled with way back then that has acted as a little bit of an obstacle to what I see as being my path of highest soul purpose? And then use that awareness intentfully to maybe do some sacred ceremony around clearing and releasing the energy of those things once and for all. With that, let's go ahead and take a look and see what additional sacred wisdom teachings want to channel through the cards. Okay, so we've got some intense energies going on, sort of a mixed bag this week, where on one hand, we're feeling a little bit more optimistic, a little more enthused, and on another hand, still kind of navigating through what I call shadow thinking, dynamics happening. And so let me start with just offering some sage to clear some space here. And I am feeling compelled to work with my Osho Zen Tarot today. The crystal that I have on my cards today is a vintage Dawn Waterhawk creation. This was originally gifted to my mother by Dawn Waterhawk way back in the day. And then my mother gifted it to me shortly before she passed on. So Dawn Waterhawk, if you are out there, this one is still thriving and alive, and I love it. I cherish it to this day. Okay. So I'm going to start with 3 cards today, and we'll see what shapes up here. As I'm shuffling and just tuning in, as always, intending that the information that comes through today is coming from only the highest sources of guidance and light possible, and that the messages that come through are clear and in alignment with our highest path and purpose. The very first card that I'm going to look at today is representing what do we need to release? So this is in alignment with the last quarter moon phase. What do we need to release in order to better align with our highest timelines, our highest soul purpose? What do we need to clear or release? It's the totality card coming up. So if you look at the image of the card, there's 3 figures on a trapeze. And the figure in the middle here is sort of suspended, where this figure on the right is hanging on to his feet, but he's not yet fully connected with the figure on the left. Now, if we look at this esoterically, the left side of us represents our spiritual nature, where the right side represents the world of form. And so on one level, in order for us to achieve alignment with our highest timeline, our highest sense of meaning and purpose, then we need to unite and bridge both realms. We need to be fully tapped into our spiritual nature as much as we are tapped into the physical world of form, and allow there to be a complete integration. I see this as being connected with the sextile aspect happening between the Sun, Mercury, and Saturn. This week, Saturn in Aquarius is all about the age of Aquarius, the collective, collaborations and things of that nature. The Sun and Mercury being in a positive aspect compels us once again to anchor in our dream of whatever we inwardly feel and sense as being our higher calling, and anchoring that into the physical world. And in order for us to do that, we have to be completely tapped into what that is. So taking some time for self-reflection, meditation, nurturing your spiritual energies, tending to your self-care, tapping into your heart, listening to what your heart is compelling you towards. And again, committing to that regardless of what might appear to be challenges or obstacles to that. If we're fully committed to a particular goal or dream or path in our life, if we really truly are fully committed, nothing's going to stop us from that. And that's the energy that we're being reminded of this week. So in order for us to fully shift into that higher timeline, highest sense of meaning and purpose, what we need to release is the clenching or grasping that we have going on in regard to the physical material, and build more trust in allowing our soul nature to be what guides us. I see this as being really connected to trusting our soul guidance and releasing fear of losing anything connected to our sustenance, our physical material safety, security in the world, our safety net, so to speak. Now, this is also connected to the number 5. Remember that in the tarot, 5s usually do present some type of challenge, but a challenge that is presented is always in the spirit of bringing us more into alignment with our authentic, true soul nature. And the way that we do that this week is tending to our soul guidance. Now let's take a look at what we can embrace to further empower our alignment to our highest timeline. Let's see, it's this one, the source. So as a continuation of what came through in this card, you can see they're even the same colors. Source energy, tapping into your own soul wisdom, being open to receiving transmissions of soul guidance and awareness from source, God, spirit, universe, cosmic consciousness, whatever you call it. That's the energy that we need to completely allow ourselves to trust in and be guided by right now. And the best tool that we have for doing that is listening to our intuition. Our intuition is the language that our soul uses to have two-way communication with ourselves, with the divine, with the universe. This is a really good week to practice consciously accessing your intuition. For those of you who need a little bit of guidance along those lines, I do have a playlist on my YouTube channel called Decoding Intuition that gives you a lot of helpful insights and tips for beginning to hone your intuition. And of course, I have my intuition and psychic development courses that I offer as well. I've got new courses coming up in January, so stay tuned for those. The last card we're going to look at is like an overall message from Spirit in alignment with the energies of this last quarter moon phase. It's called guilt. This is all of the mental torment that we put ourselves through when we get stuck in, again, what I call shadow thinking. All of the worries, the doubts, the fears, the what ifs, the second guessing, any guilt that we feel within us individually, more than likely it's guilt about second guessing our soul guidance. We have to override and remember that the worries, the fears of our mind are not necessarily telling us about the factual reality. The best way to access higher guidance for ourselves is through tuning into our heart. Now, I'm going to share with you a sacred wisdom teaching that I actually learned from my very first tarot teacher. The issue of guilt came up within one of our tarot classes that was connected to a particular tarot card. And this is the wisdom teaching that she shared. She shared that guilt is actually a positive indicator of growth, because we only can have the experience of guilt when we've achieved a particular state of awareness where we realize that perhaps there could have been a higher vibrational way for us to move through a particular situation in the past. Harness the energy of guilt as an indicator of how far you have grown in your awareness. Guilt is not meant to be something that we torment ourselves with. It's meant to be an awareness gaining sensation or experience that informs us as to how we can make better aligned choices in the now and in moving forward. And as long as we do that with it, then we're alchemizing. We're doing the work of spiritual alchemy, where we're utilizing our awareness to improve and optimize our vibrational frequency, our consciousness, our conscientiousness. And that's what the times of now are all about. For those of you out there who may feel a need for a little bit of support during this time, definitely reach out. We can look into what's going on with your personal chart, astrologically speaking, and blend that with a psychic insight session for you. And then I do actually also specialize in doing healing work that's specifically around healing old emotional wounds and traumas. So I'll put a link to my website below for those of you who may want to connect with me as we're moving forward and through to the other side of this particular eclipse season. All my love, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Blessings, namaste. Stay tuned. There's more videos around the corner, and I will see you in the next one.